Welcome to the feature match area here at GP Liverpool, ladies and gentlemen. You're in the booth with me, Riley Knight, joining me, my good friend and colleague, the Hall of Famer, Raphael Levy. Good afternoon, Raph. Great to have you along.
I'm very happy to be here with you.
On your screen, we've got some pretty big names, it has to be said. Thiago Rodriguez, Eduardo Sajgalik, and Jeremy Dezani, a Pro Tour champion, a Platinum Pro GP winner, and Thiago Rodriguez as well. Daniel Ballastin, Alvaro Sanchez Lopez, and Tony Ramos Pascual, their opponents. We're going to kick things off with Eduardo Sajgalik on hardened scales and Alvaro Sanchez Lopez on dredge. Got the chance to catch up with Sajgalik about his deck choice yesterday. He's very, very high on this list. He likes it a lot, Raph. Certainly, this list is eclipsing traditional affinity lists in Modern.
Yeah, we haven't seen many Ugborn Ravagers along with the affinity cards.
We haven't seen cranial plating very much, yes.
Along with cranial plating. We have seen Ugborn Ravagers with Ugborn Workers a lot.
Yes.
That's what I was implying, but...
In any case, up against Dredge, which got a recent shot in the arm in the form of Crippling Chill, which we see a copy of being flipped over right there. So now, thanks to... It looks like a Life from the Loam here?
No, it's a Cathartic Reunion.
Oh, Cathartic Reunion, excuse me. Yeah, it is being... no, the Stinkweed Imp is being dredged, and now the Life from the Loam is going to be dredged as well here. This is a pretty busted mechanic, Dredge, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, as we see now a Crippling Chill, doing a bit of Lightning Helix action here. Dredge is a replacement effect. If you would draw a card, you can instead put X cards from your library into your graveyard and then take the card that has Dredge on it out of your bin and put it in your hand. For example, Life from the Loam there. So instead of drawing a card off the top of your library, you can take Dredge out of your bin, put 3 cards from your library into your bin. And that in itself doesn't seem that powerful, and it's certainly not. But when you add Prized Amalgam, Narcomoeba, Bloodghast, Crippling Chill, and other cards like that into the mix, all of a sudden, you're playing a very, very different game. It's hardly even Magic anymore.
So in case you missed what happened here, Alvaro brought back Prized Amalgam on his turn, and he still has some Prized Amalgam in his graveyard. What happened was there was only one Prized Amalgam in the graveyard when the Bloodghast came back. So now he gets the second one because it's been triggered by the first Prized Amalgam. And the triggers, the delayed trigger from the second Amalgam.
It still happens.
Still happens, yes.
So Shriekhorn now, and we're going to see another Dredge by the look of things. Narcomoeba is going to come into play because, of course, it was put from the library into the graveyard. And this is a super weird deck. I mean, we were in the process of welcoming newer players to this format, and this is just an example of how buck-wild this format is. A deck that puts half of its library into its bin on as early as turn number 2 or turn number 3, and generates a bunch of super weird advantage with cards like a Prized Amalgam, cards like Bloodghast, Narcomoeba, what have you. Eduardo Sajgalik playing a very different deck. We've seen affinity lists for a long time that play little artifact creatures and exploit artifact synergies, but this one actually involves an enchantment, Raph.
Hardened Scales, yes. Maybe we'll have it on screen at some point. Very soon, I'm pretty sure.
Right now we're having an enormous beatdown here, an attack for 10.
Dordo has 2 of
Sanchez
them in
Lopez.
hand, but he doesn't have a green mana to cast them. Here we go.
So this card obviously encourages you to play with +1/+1 counters. And there are plenty of weird artifact cards that are all about +1/+1 counters. Hangerback Walker is one of them. Arcbound Worker is another. Arcbound Ravager, Walking Ballista, and Steel
Module.
Overseer. And Animation Module as well, another card that rewards you for playing +1/+1 counters. And
Walking Ballista? Yeah, you mentioned Ballista, right?
This unassuming little enchantment can really turn, all of these cards into... I mean, if you're casting an Arcbound Ravager, sure, it's a 2-mana 2/2. That doesn't seem that great. Walking Ballista, another 2-mana 2/2 here. But when you're putting extra counters on everything, and when you're using modular triggers to generate extra counters, it gets out of control very
Every
quickly.
time you sacrifice one permanent, one artifact, it gets 2 counters.
Well, it's not going to be enough for Eduardo here, as Sajgalik packs up his cards. Alvaro Sanchez Lopez, a very easy peasy lemon squeezy win there. And this, Raph, I would say, is very typical of Dredge. It's what we call in Magic a Game 1 deck.
So Game 1, if you're not playing against a lot of hate, it's a strategy that's very hard to counter. Not a lot of decks have ways to interact with the graveyard in Game 1. and that's why it's so powerful. So game one, if you win game one against Dredge, that means they either stumbled, or you have a total different strategy. You're not going to control the game. You're going to play a different game. Let's say they're trying to bring something back from the graveyard, have a huge board presence, and let's say you're just comboing off a turn before
with ad nauseum or something.
Ad nauseum or escape shift.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move. We may be able to check back on the Dredge Scales matchup, but right now let's pop over to Thiago Rodriguez facing Daniel Ballastin here. White-blue control. Looks like we've had a timely reinforcements buffer Ballastin's life total, as well as putting a couple of soldiers into play. Is it Phoenix, the new hotness? It's everywhere, out and about, getting it done. And Arclight Phoenix already brought back from beyond the grave by the look of things here.
So I got some time to talk with Jeremy just before the round. He said Thiago was 5-0. He's 5-0 at this point. He won all his matches, and he's claiming that's the best deck of the format.
Is that right?
That's what he's saying. So
Jeez.
maybe he's right.
Jeez, all right. Well, we're going to have to keep a close eye on this because, the blue-red shell is already very powerful, playing the best in card draw and some of the best interaction as well in the form of Lightning Bolt and cards of that type, as well as Faithless Looting, one of the pillars of the format. So getting rewarded for playing your natural game with something like Arclight Phoenix, very powerful indeed. Rodriguez draws 2 after this Faithless Looting was flashed back.
And the advantage of this deck, it's a graveyard deck, meaning that you're relying on the spells to bring your cards from the graveyard. But it's not that vulnerable to graveyard hate.
No,
because you have Thing in the Ice and Crackling Drake that doesn't really care about the graveyard hate.
No, and Arclight Phoenix can still be cast, right? It can still be cast as a 3/2 flyer for 4, which isn't a great rate, but this deck can win through a rest in peace, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah. And Crackling Drake does not care about your spells being exiled, because it counts the spells that being
Even
exiled.
the ones in exile, which is
not a lot of
pretty
cards that
hot.
do that.
No.
Pick and Bowl, Ralzarek.
Was it because of the jumpstart mechanic, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
So do you think they will make a super exile zone?
The AWOL zone. No, I don't think so. It's just good design. You don't want players to look at a jumpstart card and then look at another Izzet card like Crackling Drake and be like, well, I don't want to jumpstart this Chemist's Insight because it'll take a point of power off my Draco there, off my little Crackling Draco Malfoy. Although I tell you what, I wouldn't mind taking a point or two off Draco Malfoy. He's a jerk, that guy. So, now,
that's from Lord of the Rings, right?
Yes, yeah, Lord of the Rings, one of Sauron's Nazgul. So, here we see now in response to the cryptic command here, we're going to see Rodriguez muck around a little bit, but doesn't find anything of note with his Thought Scour, and as a result, those Phoenixes are tapped down, and Ballastin's going to draw a card. This is the emergency mode on cryptic command, tap draw. It's the one that it's the pressure valve that you need to sometimes engage.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
What's he found?
A detention sphere.
Ooh, hello. Perfect answer here for these two Arclight Phoenixes.
A bolt would actually save the Phoenixes.
Yes, as you could destroy the target and keep the other one around. We'll see what Ballastin wants to do here. I don't know what he's got in the way of defense for that. He's got a Teferi in hand as well. Another mystery card. I think it's a Path to Exile. So he does have the answers should Rodriguez be short on interaction here.
Does he have a Path to Exile?
I think he's got a Path to Exile in hand. I'm very ready to be wrong about that. He's flicking his cards around the speed of light. I'm not getting a good look at them. Definitely Teferi, definitely Detention Sphere.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see Detention Sphere here, Raph. And it's a nice one, a clean 2-for-1.
If there's no bolt.
If there's no bolt. Do you just 100% bolt your own Phoenix in response here?
Depends what the rest of your hand is, but the bolt is never going to do anything better than save your Phoenix. Kind of save your Phoenix. Phoenix in the graveyard.
Save it by killing it, yeah. Yeah, man. Well, it's like the philosopher. What's his name? I don't know. I can't remember his name, but he said, only know if that you love her when you let her go.
Okay.
The ancient Greek philosopher, Passenger?
Isn't it the Beatles?
Sorry, it's the Beatles. Yeah. Only know you've been high when you're feeling low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. That classic Beatles tune. Yeah, we're all about the Beatles here in Liverpool, of course, GP Liverpool. You and I were listening to the Beatles this morning as well as we got ready.
Yeah.
That classic, what was that Beatles track we listened to? Highway to Hell.
Yeah.
It's a banger, that one. That was a banger.
So tension sphere targeted the crackling Drake.
Okay. And now, Serum Visions. Even after having lost that crackling Drake. Well, just as the Beatles said, the show must go on.
Yeah. That was in 69, right?
I think it was 69.
Yeah.
A nice track, that one. And a sleight of hand now as well. So as you can see, a lot of velocity in this Is It Phoenix deck. Velocity, a term used to describe how quickly a deck can draw through the cards in its library. And just look at that. A bunch of cantrips already in the yard. Here are the Phoenixes getting across, but a path to exile, as we said. Well, as I said. Eagle Eyes Riley, they call me. They don't. I wish they did.
And Tiago has double lightning bolts. So that should be enough to put Daniel's
now the question,
out of this game.
The question is, how carefully is Rodriguez going to play it? Does he just slam and jam? Is it step 1 slam, step 2 jam?
I mean, Daniel has like one card in hand, so it's not like...
Lightning Bolt target you, says Rodriguez. Slams a second one into play. They're mismatched, but it doesn't matter. The damage comes through all the same. And a very convincing win for Rodriguez. I like the way that he took a very aggressive posture there, and it paid off for him ultimately.
Well, he's still undefeated. He's 5-0 in matches, and he's up a game. So he might be right. That might be the best deck in Modern.
Best deck in Modern confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the new Arc-Light Phoenix meta. It's great to have you. Here's Shriekhorn now for Alvaro Sanchez-Lopez. Back to the dredge side of things. And a much healthier start from Saj Gallic. This is looking very good for him.
Yeah, and Alvaro is not going anywhere here with this turn 1 Shriekhorn and milling 2 lands and two lightning axes.
Hardened Scales online, Tormod's Crypt, Hangerback Walker. So we've got everything. We've got pressure, we've got disruption, and Sajgalik firing on all cylinders in this situation, and well and truly with his snoot out ahead. Bloodstain Maya for Sanchez Lopez. See what he's going to do with that. And a Life from the Loam, returning 3 lands.
It's tough for him to navigate around the Tormod script as well. There's the Hardened Scales and the Hangerback Walker that is going to get very big, very fast.
Yep.
And he needs to make a board presence.
Because for 1 mana, it puts 2 counters on it, and then when it dies, it generates that many 1/1 Thopterinos.
With the Nexus.
Ooh, and a steel Overseer. This is disgusting. And I like the way that Eduardo Sajgalik, he's not wanting to hit, stand there pressing space, just slamming the space button, trying to pass priority all the time. He's going for the full F6 value here.
With Hardened Scales and Hangerback Walker, Arcbot Ravager is just...
Oh, bananas.
Bananas.
Bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-Anas, just like Paul and John Wright, huh?
Yeah. So if you pay 1, you have 2 extra counters. You sacrifice the Hangerback Walker to Ravager. You had 2 counters. Then you have 4 Thopters, and every Thopter you sacrifice is 2 +1/+1 counter on the Ravager. So Ravager becomes huge, and if you have an Inkmoth Nexus, you can attack for lethal on the same turn.
Or just an unblocked Thopter can often get the job done. I mean, a lot of the time in Modern as well, Raph, it's important to note, technically speaking, we all start on 20 life, but in Modern, a lot of decks start on an effective 17, or 16 even, with fetch lands and shock lands.
Or 10 if you play against Infect.
Very true. Or 4 if you play against Death Shadow. But yes, that's right. And as a result, the damage adds up very quickly. But Saj Gallic is firing on all cylinders. Steel Overseer, the best friend of cards like Hangerback Walker, on both sides of the card, of course.
The thing about the Hardened Scales deck is that the threat can come from anywhere. And you can be dead on board without... If you don't know the math behind the deck, you can be dead on board without knowing it.
because of just how they can
how they can
chuck around counters. And
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go with an Ancient Stirrings. This is one of the most important cards, not in just in the deck, but in the format, Raf. One of the pillars of Modern. Ancient Stirrings powering up decks like KCI, Tron, Hardened Scales.
So now Eduardo has the choice between Ravager and Grafdigger's Cage.
He's going to take the Arcbound Ravager here.
He realizes he doesn't need the cage.
Mm-hmm.
A cage here would probably be game already, because Thomas Crypt and cage, that's a lot to overcome. But Ravager here is even better.
In for 4 with the Hangerback Walker now, and I would imagine Arcbound Ravager going to come down as a 2/2 as well. Yes, indeed, and an Arcbound Worker as well. The gang's all here. Sanchez Lopez really under a ton of pressure. Not much going on from his side of things as well. Tormod's Crypt threatening to, just be an enormous thorn in his side here.
Would be a good time for him to draw a couple of Ancient Grudges.
Instead, finds Cathartic Reunion. This is another card that really put Dredge back on the map when it was printed in Kaladesh. Or Ether Revolt, was it? Excuse me. One of the two. Kaladesh block. And the fact that you can discard Dredge cards to its cost and then dredge them immediately.
It's Kaladesh.
Kaladesh, there we go. Just like I said. And it means that you can immediately fill up your graveyard very, very quickly. I mean, this can represent 15 cards in your graveyard, just like that. Right now, however, it's going to be Faithless Looting. Let's see if we're going to dredge anything here. No, just straight up discarding.
He doesn't have a dredge card now.
Isn't there the Life from the Loam in there?
No, it's a Nature's Claim.
Nature's Claim, excuse me. Sajkulik, however, sitting pretty. He can sit there and, think about his plans for the week. Think about what he's going to get up to in the lead up to the festive season here. Because this one is very close to being a done deal. Dredge does have a lot of explosive power, but at the moment, Sajkulik just has everything. He's got answers and threats. And he's actually, with that Inkmoth... Whoa, we got a judge call here. With that Inkmoth Nexus... So it seems as though Alvaro Sanchez Lopez, after having cast the Faithless Looting and discarded 2 cards, he put the looting back into his hand. After having discarded 2 dredge cards. Let's have a listen in.
He discarded these, which is correct. But then he put this card in his hand from the stack.
This is actually something that happens more often than you think. With the dredge, you have to have your hands everywhere. You have to put cards from your deck into your graveyard, from your graveyard to exile the cards from your graveyard because you flashback them.
You're just playing with every zone.
You play with all the zones.
All the zones that they're
So
on.
it's not surprising that mistakes like this happen. And over the course of a tournament, you will probably get a warning or two.
Yeah, and Sanchez Lopez has picked up a warning here as a result for a game rule violation, because obviously, that is just not something you can do. You can't put a resolve spell back in your hand unless you've got a Tameo emblem or something like that. And Sajkulik not missing a trick, picking up on it very quickly.
So here, Eduardo has lethal on the board. It's hard to see because he only has a 4/4 and 2/2/2s. But he has potential to deal about 40 damage next turn.
Yeah. Not to mention the Inkmoth Nexus.
Oh, and 40
poison
counters.
He
has a lot of ways to win this game.
Yeah.
But when you look at the board, maybe. But this enchantment on the bottom of the screen it just makes this draw a ton better.
How much power does the Hangerback Walker add? So, sacrifice it, put 2 counters on
first you add the counters. You add 2 with the...
Add 2, so it's got 6.
6. You sacrifice it.
Yep.
So you have...
6 1/1s.
6 1/1s and 2 counters on the
Ravager. So 4 so far.
So that's 14.
And then... Oh, no. It's more than that. Because then all of the Thopters are 2 as well.
So it's...
So it's 6...
It's a 6/6.
Yeah.
So you sacrifice it, so you add 2 counters.
Yeah.
You have 6 Thopters.
Yeah.
You sacrifice all 6 Thopters.
Yeah, 12 more power.
12.
Yeah.
So 12 plus 2.
Yeah.
It's 14.
And then you can sacrifice all of those. You can use the Arcbound Ravager trigger, the modular trigger, to put to put them onto something like an Ethnos Nexus and one-shot them out of nowhere.
So that's one more. So that's 15.
Yeah, it's pretty huge.
But then you also have the worker, so you can sacrifice the worker to the Arcbound Ravager to add 3 counters to the walker. So that would be even more counters.
So in this situation here, it seems as though there was an escalation or maybe perhaps an appeal for this situation with the faceless looting. Looks like a judge of a higher level has been involved here. We're very aware of this. Raf, you and I sitting here, we're not ignoring it. It's just the fact that there's not a lot of fruitful discussion that we can have about this while the issue is ongoing here. And as a result, I think from our position it's better to wait for the issue to resolve itself and then report back on what the judge's final ruling is. Tricky needle to thread sitting in this position. Tricky needle to thread because there's any number of interpretations of this situation that could go on, and certainly I feel the pressure to when I'm calling a situation like this, I certainly feel the pressure to have an opinion, which is something I generally don't like to do in my life in general. But in situations like this, I think it's only a bad thing to sit here and speculate and start talking about it. And that's why we're talking about how much power Hangerback Walker adds to the battlefield rather than discussing the ins and outs of this judge call.
Yes. Well, it's we don't know how long it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be just a misunderstanding and might be resolved in a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could take a longer time and some more judges might be involved. So
we might be able to check on some of the other tables and see if there's more magic we can show you rather than live judge call cam. I mean, I know some people obviously big fans of the old judge call cam. They love it. It's right up there with shuffle cam and mulligan cam. But
like dash cams as well, like the cam from on the judges.
Oh
shirt.
yeah, like a little thing like a parking officer has or a
Yeah.
cop or something. That'd be very cool. Get them mic'd and wired up. But no, unfortunately we don't have that kind of angle right now. But we are going to be able to move on to another table in a minute. We're getting things set up on another table to make sure that yes, we're showing you magic rather than judge calls. Anyway, here we are with Daniel Ballaston on white-blue control, Thiago Rodriguez on Izzet Phoenix. We saw the Izzet Phoenix deck get it done in game number 1. And a rest in peace, in addition to this detention sphere getting rid of Blood Moon, means that at the moment Ballaston has some pretty good answers for what Rodriguez is trying to put together. And critically, Raph, no threats on the board for Rodriguez.
So the argument I had with Jeremy about an hour ago was that rest in peace was actually pretty good against Izzet Phoenix. It's not as good against Izzet Phoenix as against Dredge, for example, but it's still pretty good. And he said, no, it's not that great. So we'll see if he's actually right, if Recipe doesn't do anything, and the Crackling Drake is just better than... just beats Rest in Peace, basically.
It's a nice way to continue to apply pressure through, opposing disruption, but Jace the Mind Sculptor is a really good play here for Ballaston. He's going to be able to Fate Seal himself. An interesting line to take. Not what you'd expect. I mean, perhaps wanting to keep it alive in the face of that Crackling Drake, but no, there are 5 instants and sorceries in the or a Lightning Bolt. Yep.
Yeah. He wants to, it's protected from a bolt.
So Crackling Drake still on the battlefield, can contest that Jace if Ballaston doesn't have anything. So let's see now what Rodriguez is up to. Is this going to be a hard cast Arclight Phoenix here? Yes, it is.
Also to protect it from Arclight Phoenix.
So, a bold attack here. The Crackling Drake going straight at Jace and the Arclight Phoenix going upstairs. This is not playing around something like Path to Exile here. Ballaston having a read of the card.
We dive down.
Okay, so 5 power creature, and it's going to eat a Path to Exile, but that's going to dispel. There you go. That explains the attack there from Rodriguez.
Dispel.
Which spell? Dispel, says Daniel Ballaston, so he can defend his Path to Exile very well, and that, from both players, goes a long way in explaining the lines that they took there. Rodriguez attacking upstairs with the Arclight Phoenix because he was positive that he'd be able to kill the Jace with his Crackling Drake. Not so, Mr. Secretary. And Ballaston also pretty happy with the way that his hand looked, happy to Fate Seal go upstairs with Jace because he was pretty confident that Jace was going to survive the turn. Here's a sleight of hand now for Rodriguez. And this is the point at which Jace's brainstorm ability really starts to take over the game, Raf.
And timely reinforcement in Daniel's hand, but now he has the Celestial Colonnade to block.
Yeah. Yep. Not casting the timely reinforcements. But a second Phoenix as well. That's going to apply some pressure. And Rodriguez in a good position to attack into an oncoming 4-4. Here is the land. Awoken. 4-4 Flying Vigilant blocker. Jace gets knocked down to 2. And I wonder if Rodriguez is going to be able to bring back that Phoenix next turn. Well, doesn't matter in any case when it comes to contesting Jace.
No, well, there's a rest in peace, so I don't think that Phoenix is coming back.
Very good observation, Raf. Thank you for that. I certainly noticed that myself. I just wanted to see if you were going to pick up on it as well.
Yeah, I'm following. It's fine.
Yeah,
Thank you for
testing.
my,
I'm more than happy to do it. More than happy to do it, Raf. I try to make you look smart, and obviously, present the illusion that I'm not obviously on top of every single interaction that happens. I mean, the card's right there. How could anyone miss it?
It was actually under the Jace, so it was a little hidden.
So I even stuffed up on my excuse for missing.
That's what I do. Come on, you like me for that.
Cannot catch a break. Cannot catch a break today, my friends.
Oh, wow.
Aggressive. An aggressive posture taken by Ballaston here, getting in with his 4-4. And timely reinforcements as well.
Oh, wait.
It's just to generate some 1-1s. All right.
What? So that doesn't do anything, right? So Thiago goes down to 13.
Oh, no! Oh, no! Daniel Ballaston just cast a 3-cost sorcery that does a stone cold nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Because he activated the Colonnade and attacked, it took him above his opponent's life total, so he didn't get the 6 life. And because he had a Colonnade that was still a creature despite being tapped for mana, he didn't gain the 3 1/1s. Oops. Someone clip that. That is one for the books.
No one saw that.
No one saw it. No one saw it. It's like, I don't know, when you're out, it's like a slippery, there's like ice or something out on the pavement, and you fall on your bum, and you look around to make sure no one saw it, and there's just a big crowd of people. Just, 10,000 people watching you as you do it. Oops.
Yeah, but now there's a supreme verdict just to make sure that that's not being... it's not costing you too much.
Yeah.
Just to reward the good play.
Crackling Drake now as well. Draw
wow.
a card now for Rodriguez. He's playing right into this Wrath, unfortunately. And,
wow.
Another Phoenix. Get in there. Get in there for 9.
Colonnade's still there.
Colonnade's still in there. Going to be able to block one of those Phoenixes. Maybe it'll come back next turn, Raf.
Yeah, the life totals are not updated, so...
There's still the rest in peace. There's an obvious joke. So, Oust off the top. Dispel in the hand of de Ballaston as well.
Oust does not seem too good in this matchup.
No. Going to cast it anyway. So Rodriguez up to, a number that was 3 higher than what he was on before. Those life totals, we're going to get them checked to make sure we've got we've got the most accurate information here. Because as it stands now, the life totals aren't 16 to 17.
Yeah.
But we will get that fixed. Crackling Drake once again here. Draws another card for Rodriguez.
Here we go. Terminus. Oh, wow. Oh!
Ooh, Terminus off the top, but a disdainful stroke is going to get rid of it.
Another battle counter. Counter battle.
Counter battle.
Counter battle.
It's all happening here. With Dispel defending the Terminus, and away go the Clowns.
Thiago does not have a lot of ways to actually win this game now.
No.
He needs a fetch to bring his win conditions back.
Because they're all at the bottom of his library.
Well, that's Scaling Tarn is his first step.
And with the Celestial Colonnade getting busy. And a Lyra Dawnbringer as well, so this one could be over. very quickly indeed. We see Rodriguez go down to 10. And he's going to, again, the important thing here is shuffling his Phoenixes and his Drakes
Yeah, but now the Drake's
off the bottom of the library.
against Lyra, Drake is not great.
No, it doesn't do anything, right? Just blocks inconsequentially. And Ballaston
And that's
making it
game.
very clear that,
Wow.
once again, he can get across with these creatures, and that's going to be that. Ballaston picks up game number 2, equalizing Raf.
Dispel, negate,
Yeah,
right at the right time.
exactly.
You know when you're behind on the board during the gate, you're like, oh man, that negate's so bad. And
Yeah.
then you draw the terminus.
Yeah.
Play terminus, they can react.
Oh.
My negate was so good.
That's so
Oh,
good. That's right. Well, these guys are going to head to game 3, and I'm sure we'll keep you abreast of exactly what goes on this table as we continue. But let's head over to Tony Ramos Pascual on Tron and Jeremy Desani on Spirits. We haven't had a good look at this matchup so far this round. Looks like Ramos Pascual has assembled Tron here. He's got the power plant, the tower, and the mine. But right now it's Desani with double Drog Skull Captain that seems to be in a good spot.
Yeah, Tron is also not one of the decks you want to play against when you play Spirit. When you play Spirit, Tron, Death Shadow are not your favorite matchups.
Yeah.
You'd rather not play against them.
Mm-hmm.
Because once they have Tron, you have Unified Will to counter the big high makers. But then you're very vulnerable to Ugin and,
O-Stone.
Oblivion Stone.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, a turn 3 Khan is bad no matter what you're playing, really.
It's 9 mana.
It's a lot. What are we going to see here? Worm Coil Engine in hand. And, of course, that's
that's
Sanctum
actually
of,
10 mana.
So it's Walking Ballista for 5 here. Sacrificing the Sanctum of Ugin, going and getting another huge threat. Typically an Ulamog. Let's see what Ramos Pascual is interested in here.
If he's on 5, then he might just die to the Flyers.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are hexproof.
Yeah.
Well, what can he do then?
I don't know.
Another Walking Ballista here. So both of them are... Whoa!
That's
Whoa. That was a very aggressive deployment of the handshake there from Jeremy Desani. I'm not a fan of that, I have to say.
Let's not waste any more time. Let's help our teammates.
Yeah, but I mean, there are definitely better ways to go around ending a game of Magic. That is not on. And in any case, Jeremy Desani picks up the win with his hexproof 3/3s, getting across next turn. And, of course, Tony Ramos Pascual unable to do anything despite the size of that ballista. Thanks to the hexproof mechanic, Desani moves to 2-1, picking up the first game result of this match here between these 3 players, or these 6 players, I should say. And we're back over to where it all started, Eduardo Sajgalik and Alvaro Sanchez Lopez. Looks like these guys have evened things up, and a nice start from Sajgalik as well with a Tormod script on turn number 1.
Wow. And with Alvaro playing a turn 1 Conflagrate, not great against the turn 1 Tormod script. And he has Nature's Claim in hand, but Nature's Claim will just get rid of the Welding Jar.
Welding Jar, a nice little defensive option for people looking to make the most of their hard-hitting artifact cards.
So just in case you're wondering why the Conflagrate is in the graveyard, it's because Alvaro did not have a faithless looting in hand or a Cathartic Reunion, and he planned to play it on turn 2 to just discard the dredge spells. Unfortunately, with Eduardo playing a Tormod script, his plan is a little foiled.
Yeah.
And he's not willing to discard cards from his hand to put dredge cards in the graveyard to have them exiled by the Tormod script.
So another Welding Jar now, but in response we're going to see a Nature's Claim. Sajgalik gains 4 even though the Tormod script is not destroyed.
And this is something I'm not sure I understand as to why Dredge player only play 2 Ancient Grudges nowadays. I think Dredge should play 4. It's such a good card.
Effectively you just draw it for free when you're dredging, effectively.
It's such a good card, and you can almost always play it. When you dredge and they have Tormod script, you know you can you can play around it. If you don't destroy Tormod Script, you destroy something else. But at least you get some value out of the card you milled, you put in your graveyard. With only 2 Ancient Grudges and 3 Nature's Claims, this matchup does not seem that easy at all.
No, and especially in a tournament like this where you know you're going to be facing a lot of artifact decks, I think you want to maximize your answers to them. So I agree with your assessment. Here's a Conflagrate. And we'll see what Sanchez Lopez wants to do here.
Buff 1.
Getcha. That'll teach him. That'll teach him here. The Tormod Script, of course, tapped because it was regenerated.
But Eduardo does not have a second land.
No.
So he's wondering now if he has to sack his Tormod Script.
So now, Sajgalik
Oh, here we go.
allows the dredging to happen.
Why do you need 4 Ancient Grudges when you hit the first one?
Just hit the first
right
one
away?
every time. Easy. All right, so this is looking a little bit better for Alvaro Sanchez Lopez. He puts 3 Cathartic Reunions into the bin here. But now he's going to be able to contest that Tormod Script, and unfortunately for Sajgalik, not finding his second land,
So there's
playing from behind.
there's something you have to keep in mind. When you regenerate a permanent,
Yep.
it becomes tapped.
Yes.
And Tormod Script says, oh, does it say tap?
Yeah, tap sacrifice.
Tap sacrifice, right?
Yep.
So if it's tapped, you can't sacrifice it.
Yep. So and this is what we're going to see right here. And this means that Sanchez Lopez effectively has the run of the henhouse right now with the Tormod Script tapped. But what can he do this turn that's going to really punish his opponent?
I think. I believe he could have played the Life from the Loam before, and then upkeep destroyed Tormod Script. So he had one whole turn if he drew something. That would have forced Eduardo to do something.
Well, Life from the Loam returns a Gemstone Mine here. Sanchez Lopez doesn't have a lot of action in his graveyard right now. And Sajgalik finally finds that second land. Let's see if he can start to apply a little bit of pressure here. Steel Overseer the play.
So he milled a Dark Blast. So another way to dredge. So have you seen the third card that's been milled?
So Lightning Axe, Dark Blast,
And the third one.
and a mystery card hanging out just off screen, ladies and gentlemen. A mystery card. So, hardcast Stinkweed Imp now for Sanchez Lopez. Not something we see very often, but needs must here. Move these across a little bit. There we go. And I think it looks like it's a Copperline Gorge.
So nothing of relevance except for Dark Blast.
Yep. And now an Ancient Stirrings here for Sajgalik. That's a nice one. Let's see if he can find the action that he desires. And it's a land indeed. So that's good stuff from him. And now Steel Overseer online if Sajgalik can start to dump some more pressure onto the battlefield. Another Steel Overseer in hand here. Arcbound Ravager as well.
So Dark Blast is being kind of nullified here. None of the... It's never going to be able to kill anything.
Yes.
With 2 Steel Overseers in play, even if Eduardo plays a 1-1,
Yep.
Alvaro can kill it with a Dark Blast, but it will be answered by an activation of a Steel Overseer.
So Steel, I mean, it's going to take a savage misplay from Sajgalik for this Dark Blast to get any value whatsoever in this game.
Yeah, Alvaro could have played a land last turn as well to be able to do more stuff this turn. He decided not to. So now he's just down to 1 play this turn. Maybe play Faceless Looting.
3 mana. Are we going to see another hardcast Stinkweed Imp here?
No, he doesn't have another one.
So it's a flashback Faithless Looting here.
So no...
No dredge on the Dakmor Salvage.
No dredge. Okay.
Finds Copperline Gorge and another... Oh, sorry, Blackleaf Cliffs, I should say. And another copy of Faithless Looting. And Golgari Thug is going to hit the bin, in addition to another... Oh, that's a Blood Crypt there. All right. Here's Gemstone Mine. Another Faithless Looting here. Now we're going to see a Dredge.
Yeah, there's no reason to crypt yet.
There's a nice one.
Still no reason to.
Prized Amalgam.
Right,
Narcomoeba as well is a great little 1-2 punch here. So we dredge
So
the Narcomoeba and the Prized Amalgam there.
now he has to discard, and then that will prompt Eduardo
To pop
Sec-
the
yeah.
crypt. Yeah. So in response to the Narcomoeba trigger, which only was put on the stack after Lopez discarded, of course, Sajgalik uses the crypt, gets rid of a Prized Amalgam, Narcomoeba as well, a bunch of Faithless Lootings as well. So a good use of the crypt. I think he got a good amount of value out of it. There's a weird one. Haven't seen that one for quite a while. The old Graft Land.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. That one's from Future Sight?
No, no.
Time Spiral?
Isn't it from the Simic?
Yeah, but this land wasn't printed in the...
Oh no.
No. Wasn't it? Yeah, Lana War Reborn.
No, Reborn.
Yeah. From Future Sight.
All right.
Yeah. For those of you who aren't aware of what the card does, it is a land that enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for green. But whenever it comes with even though it's not a creature, it has a +1/+1 counter on it. And when another creature enters the battlefield, you can move that +1/+1 counter from that land to the. But of course, with the hardened scales, you get 2, and so on and so forth. So another way to generate a little +1/+1 counter. This deck is all about moving those +1/+1 counters around, moving the stirring the pot, keeping the economy ticking over, the +1/+1 economy. It's a good time to be in the business of +1/+1 counters. The market is booming.
Yeah, next turn is most likely lethal.
Yeah, certainly with these
double Overseers
Mm.
and I've got Ravagers.
And I mean, you can imagine how much better it would be with a hardened scales, putting 2 +1/+1 counters on all those creatures. Whew. But he doesn't need it.
I think it is lethal. So he plays.
Is it lethal or is it chat lethal?
It's both.
Both.
Yeah. Ooh, look at this.
All right.
It's a 2/2 thanks to the graft ability.
Yep. Thanks to Lana War Reborn there. And another Walking Ballista
And
as
that's
well.
it,
And yep,
yeah.
that's going to be enough there. With the double Walking Ballista here, Sajgalik is able to find room to push through all that damage there. And as a result, Alvaro Sanchez Lopez has to take it on the chin. And after, a pretty evenly split match between these two teams initially, ultimately Jeremy Desani winning with Spirits off the back of the double Drog Skull. And, of course, Eduardo Sajgalik there, a much better draw from him. And I want to talk about the Tormod's Crypt because we saw it do a lot of work. Sajgalik picked his moment to get maximum value. And as a result, the Dredge, I mean, we talked about it. It's a Game 1 deck. It wins Game 1 a lot of the time and then really struggles against Graveyard Hate in Games 2 and 3.
You're right. But, in that game, he stumbled. Like, Eduardo stumbled. But the Dredge player also stumbled a little bit. Playing a turn 1 Conflagrate, that's the card you want to see when you have a Tormod's Crypt. It's you can't play around Tormod's Crypt when you have fetch lands and Bloodghast in the graveyard, but it's already when you've dredged a little bit. When you're already struggling to dredge, Tormod's Crypt is a massive hit. Yeah. And
it did a lot of work there. I mean, sometimes one-shot graveyard effects aren't enough. In this case, though, they certainly were. And well done to Eduardo Sajgalik getting up and about in his game here. My friends, we are continuing on towards our cut to day number 2. We are playing Win and In Magic here. We'll see Eduardo Sajgalik, Jeremy Desani, and Tiago Rodriguez next tomorrow. No worries at all. And in the meantime, before we get ready for our next round, of course, we've got some Time Walk Magic to bring you. So stick around. We're going to take a quick break, and on the other side of it, we'll bring you more modern from Liverpool. We'll see you after this.